If you're joining us today, chances are, you're someone who really strives for excellence. You push yourself, you're rigorous, you value high quality work.
Yeah.
But, and this is the thing, if you're like most high achievers, you might also be carrying this really heavy, exhausting burden, this heavy shield we call perfectionism.
Its shield metaphor is so apt, it feels protective, doesn't it?
It really does. So we've gathered a stack of sources that really dive into this exact psychological trap. And our mission today, it's pretty simple, actually.
Yeah.
We want to dismantle that core myth, the idea that perfectionism protects us from, judgment or failure.
Because the truth is quite different.
Exactly. The reality, and the sources make this stunningly clear, is that perfectionism doesn't protect you at all. It actually stops you from truly living, from connecting, creating.
Yeah.
We're here to figure out how to set that shield down.
It's such a vital distinction to make. For so long, we've kind of mashed together the desire for quality with this deep-seated fear of just not being good enough.
Right.
And what's fascinating here is the sources, they're absolutely not saying lower your standards or just coast. Not at all.
No.
They're asking for a fundamental, like a really deep shift in the psychological engine that's driving your effort.
And that engine check, that's exactly where we need to start. We have to properly nail the difference between what we often call healthy striving and that destructive mechanism of perfectionism. We use the terms almost interchangeably sometimes in daily life, don't we? But psychologically, they couldn't be more different.
Oh, completely opposed.
Yeah.
They exist on opposite ends of the motivational spectrum, really.
Yeah.
Our sources define two totally separate processes.
Right.
So first, you've got healthy striving. This is described as an entirely internal thing.
Internal. Got
And
it.
it's that genuine desire to learn, to grow, to be your best self. It's driven by passion, curiosity.
So it feels good.
It feels good. It's joyful. It's focused on the process of improving. And critically, it's rooted in self-compassion. If you stumble, if you fail, you treat yourself kindly and you adjust. You pivot.
Right. Okay. That sounds sustainable. And then you have the other side, the exhausting performance cycle we call perfectionism.
Exactly. And perfectionism is defined as a purely external strategy. It's almost entirely based on fear.
Fear. Okay.
Yeah, fear. It's obsessed with the outcome, driven by this rigid idea that any failure means catastrophe. The little voice inside is constantly asking, what will people think?
That question.
That's the driving question. The main goal for the perfectionist is just to avoid judgment, whatever it takes.
That makes sense. Intellectually, I get the distinction. But what's the mechanism? Like, why do smart, capable, high-achieving people keep defaulting to that exhausting external strategy when the internal one, healthy striving, is obviously, better for us?
Well, because the trap, the real hook of perfectionism is that it offers this illusion, a false sense of control.
Control.
Yeah. The thinking goes, if I can just perform perfectly, if I can polish this thing until it's absolutely flawless, then I control how you see me.
Controlling perception.
Exactly. And then I avoid the shame of being inadequate. It directly links your self-worth to your performance.
So we end up building this like house of cards where our whole sense of value hangs on every single outcome being perfect.
Precisely. And that's why it's so unbelievably exhausting. You can never stop performing.
Wow.
You never get to just be, as one source puts it, it's a fragile and exhausting way to live because you're constantly pouring energy into managing what other people think, trying to cling on to their approval. That energy drain is the real cost. It's huge.
Okay, so if perfectionism is that fear-based, outcome-obsessed thing, then the antidote, it has to involve vulnerability, right? Accepting our humanness. The sources point very specifically to celebrating good enough. That phrase alone, good enough, it sounds terrifying to a perfectionist, doesn't it? Yet the material frames it as like a form of profound beauty.
It is terrifying because it means letting go of that illusion of control.
Yeah.
But to frame why good enough is actually beautiful, we can look at this Japanese aesthetic philosophy that the sources bring in. Wabi-sabi.
Wabi-sabi. Yeah, I found this really powerful as a way to think about this shift. It's a worldview, right? Centered on finding beauty in things that are, imperfect, impermanent, incomplete. It's about accepting the natural cycle of things, growth and decay.
Exactly. And this isn't just some abstract philosophy. You see it in real life, in art.
Yep.
Like, we appreciate the beauty of a handmade ceramic bowl.
Right.
It has its unique shape, maybe slight bumps or irregularities.
Yeah.
Those things set it apart from some mass-produced perfect thing.
Yeah, they give it character.
Character. Or, think about an old aging tree. It's got gnarled bark, maybe some broken branches. We appreciate its history, the struggle you can see in its form. We don't judge it as flawed. We see it as beautiful because of its history.
And to push that even further, there's that related Japanese practice kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery.
Oh, yes, with the gold lacquer.
Yeah, they don't hide the break, they actually highlight it. They treat the break and the repair as part of the object's story, making it somehow even more beautiful and valuable.
That's such a critical insight, isn't it? Kintsugi literally transforms a catastrophe, the pot shattering, into a point of increased value and unique beauty. It accepts the failure, internalizes it, and turns it into strength.
Wow.
Which raises a really important question for you, listening right now. What if? What if we could apply that grace of wabi-sabi, that transformative spirit of kintsugi, to ourselves?
Applying it inward.
Yeah. What if we could see the beauty in our own quirks, our scars, maybe our incomplete journeys, viewing them not as flaws we have to hide, but as, marks of a life being lived?
That's exactly the bridge we need. Because applying that kind of grace internally, that takes incredible courage. It really does. The sources lean heavily on Dr. Brené Brown's research here, framing this necessary bravery, reminding us we often get vulnerability mixed up with weakness. We really do. But the material insists that vulnerability is actually the most accurate measure of courage. It flips the script on bravery.
How so?
It defines bravery as simply to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome.
Okay. Say more about that.
Well, think about it. If you step into a meeting with a new idea, knowing full well it might get shot down, that's brave.
Right.
If you share a piece of your art or writing, knowing it might be criticized, that's brave. You're putting yourself out there. You're exposing the self.
That totally reframes the whole process, because once we choose that bravery, once we actually drop the shield, we unlock the very thing we really crave, which is connection.
Yes.
The great paradox is that the shield we put up to avoid judgment is the exact thing that prevents real, authentic connection.
We just don't connect over perfect, polished highlight reels, do we? Think about your own life.
No, definitely not.
When does connection really happen? It's when someone shares a struggle or maybe a huge mistake they made, and you can honestly respond with, "Me too. Oh man, I've been there."
Yeah, those Me Too moments.
Those are the moments. That's the start of deep, authentic connection. We connect over shared struggles, over our shared, messy, imperfect humanity.
So the armor we wear, thinking it protects us, it actually just isolates us.
Precisely.
And by allowing ourselves to be imperfect, letting our cracks show, like the gold lines in kintsugi, we kind of automatically give everyone around us permission to drop their own armor too.
It changes the whole dynamic in relationships, doesn't it? You stop playing that exhausting competitive game of pretense, the look how perfect my life is game.
Ooh, yes.
And you start fostering real connection instead. That's why vulnerability isn't weakness. It's like a force multiplier for connection.
Okay, now this shift in perspective. It must profoundly change what is arguably the biggest hurdle for anyone wrestling with perfectionism, the relationship with failure.
Oh, absolutely.
The material is pretty stark here. It says the perfectionist sees failure as just catastrophe, like a final verdict on their worth, a moment of deep shame.
And shame is such a destructive emotion. It makes us want to hide, retreat. Shame says, I am a failure. It completely shuts down learning.
Right, paralyzing.
But once you start to embrace imperfection, embrace that wabi-sabi idea that imperfection is just part of growth, failure stops being this catastrophic judgment. It becomes something totally different.
And that something else is simply a data point.
That's it. It's not an indictment. It's information. Pure and simple.
Information.
It's a lesson. It's course correction. Failure stops being the end of the road and becomes an essential, unavoidable, and actually really valuable part of the journey of growth.
So it shifts from shame to information.
Exactly. If you're striving healthily, you might feel guilt, I did something wrong, which you can repair, you can learn from it. But if you're stuck in perfectionism, you feel shame. I am wrong, and that just shuts you down.
That pivot from shame to information, that feels like where the freedom is really found. Because if it's just data, you can look at it objectively, analyze it, learn, move on. The sources basically conclude that the only true failure is being so paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake that you never even try.
And think about the energy involved there. Seriously, if you're caught in perfectionism, maybe, 80% of your effort goes into planning, agonizing, rechecking, managing the outcome so nobody sees the tiniest flaw.
Sounds about right. It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It is exhausting. But when you set down that heavy shield, all that cognitive energy, all that mental bandwidth that was just wasted on managing perceptions, it's liberated, it's free.
And it's replaced by this incredible sense of freedom. The freedom to be a beginner again, maybe, to be messy, to experiment.
Yes, your energy shifts from damage control and, perception management to actual creation, genuine connection, authentic joy. That's the payoff. That's what you gain.
And that payoff isn't just some abstract idea.
Not at all. It's what lets you finally start that project that's been sitting on your shelf for ages.
Yes.
It's what lets you hit send on that email that isn't perfect, but it's good enough, and then just move on with your day.
Okay, so how do we make this practical? How do we actually start? The invitation from the source material is really specific and actionable. We need to consciously practice the art of good enough.
It's a practice.
Yeah, it's not just thinking about it, it's about physically interrupting that perfectionist loop. So the invitation for you, listening, is to identify one small area of your life where you habitually get stuck.
Just one small thing to start.
Exactly. Maybe it's writing the first draft of something, maybe organizing one specific drawer, maybe just replying to that email chain that feels daunting. Pick something small.
Okay, got my small thing. Now what?
And here's the key technique. Consciously give yourself permission to do it only to a B+ standard.
B+, okay.
Not A+.
Not A+S. Aim for competent, functional, clear. Do it well enough, good enough, and then, crucially, walk away. Let it go.
Why B+ specifically? What's the magic there?
Well, because A+ often requires that obsessive rechecking, right? That microscopic attention to detail, those extra 2 hours that maybe only yield a tiny 2% improvement, if that.
Right, the diminishing return.
Exactly. The B+ standard is high enough that you still feel responsible and competent, but it's hopefully low enough to bypass that catastrophic panic response that the perfectionist loop kicks in.
So you do the task to B + A, and then the hard part.
And then the real work begins. As you do this, you need to notice the urge to overwork it. Notice that physical pull, that anxiety that screams, no, you must fix that margin. You have to rewrite that sentence 5 more times.
Feel that urge.
Feel it. Acknowledge the fear behind it. And then consciously choose freedom instead. You choose to let good enough be your new finish line for this specific task.
It's like building a new muscle.
Totally. This is a habit you have to practice to literally redefine those neural pathways in your brain that link your self-worth directly to your output.
So that's the challenge then.
Yeah.
Practice the D+ ador, feel that friction, that urge to perfect, and then choose to let it go.
Let it go. That's the practice.
Okay, so to wrap this up, a final thought to leave you with. If we accept that perfectionism is fundamentally about managing external perceptions, trying to control what others think, and if philosophies like wabi-sabi teach us to find profound, lasting beauty in the gnarled, the incomplete, the scarred, the authentic marks of experience, then what profound sense of freedom could you unlock, maybe even today, by allowing just one of your most visible imperfections, something you usually try to hide or polish away, to simply be, to let it exist as a true mark of a life being lived? That's the journey, isn't it? From performance to peace.